want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea. I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh nosh, you don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.
They're ready, Danny lad.
Ready.
They're ready. Right, so welcome to episode 36 of the Chippy Tea podcast. What is the Chippy Tea podcast? It's not under there, Danny, wherever you're looking for.
I'm just making sure it's recording.
It's not under there. The Chippy Tea the Chippy Tea podcast is basically a little bit of a catch-up between two guys from up north who just also happen to be screen printers. We have a weekly video call to catch up on anything that's caught our attention, poked us in the eye, give us a shake, or scared us half to death. And it's your chance to eavesdrop and catch up with us as we catch up with the week that was. And we will talk mainly about screen print, but there's absolutely no guarantee whatsoever. It could be seagulls, it could be turtles, it could be dolphins, it could be anything. So, in true fashion, we will start this week's podcast with throwing it straight over to the main man that is... Oh, we can't do this. We can't go any further. We've got to stop.
Go on. Why?
What is the Chippy Tea podcast? It is your chance to catch up with me, Tony P from Palm Print, and...
Danny D from Flippy Sweet Print Co.
Now everything's okay. We're good with the world now.
We will
throw it straight across to you, Daniel.
Daniel?
We need to...
I'm here. Only person who calls me Daniel. Usually when I've done something wrong.
So we will throw it straight over to you and ask you how your week has been, because it's actually been a week this time. We've actually almost called back to normal. We won't speak too soon though, because we're having connection issues. So if either of us looks a little bit blank for a bit, that's a normal face. Don't worry about it. You'll get used to it for a while. But we'll throw it straight over to you, Danny. What's that been playing with this week?
Do you know what? I wish I had a show and tell to tell you this week, but I've not got a... I've spent most of my week in my screen room. As I said, I started ripping it out, remove... What? Why are you laughing?
I just remember that video you posted on Instagram. We're like, how the fuck do I get these legs on here? Turn it, fucking put them on while it's laid down, you dick. I was shouting at a screen.
You could have messaged me and told me.
It was
like half an hour.
Somebody'd already done it. Which I presume was the same message. Fucking stick the legs on while it's laid down, you dick.
No, I worked it out all on my own. I'm quite proud of that as well.
Bloody did you?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've moved. So I've tried to work out as a dry room and a wet room. All my screens live upstairs now. My exposure unit lives upstairs. My coating holder holds my screen in place so I can coat them. That lives upstairs.
Your semi-automatic coating machine.
Me semi-automatic coating machine. Yeah. And this week's the first week that today actually. Today was the first week that I've put it into practice. And there's a few flaws, I've realised. So I've got a flight of stairs to go up. Every time I wash some screens, I've got to drag them all upstairs, which I understood that. But then what I also didn't realise is, once they're coated and they're dry and they are exposed, they then got to come back downstairs to be washed out, go back upstairs to dry.
You've lost me. Where's your exposure unit?
Exposure unit's upstairs now in the dry room with all the screens.
Where's your water?
Downstairs.
Ah.
So I've got to expose all my screens, drag them downstairs, wash them out in the booth, take them back upstairs to dry, post-expose them, and then bring them all back down again.
Okay.
So I've introduced about 17 million steps to the process.
There, yeah.
So what I've gained is...
How are you moving them? Are you black bagging them, or are you just hoping it's dark?
Oh no, well both rooms are like a UV light safe. They've both got the yellow film on the bulbs. So transitioning between the two is totally fine. I have got a floodlight a white LED floodlight, which I can turn on when I'm washing screens, so I can properly see. That's for washing, not for washing out, only for washing. So yeah, I've introduced. So anyway, yeah. On the plus side, my screens are in a room which I can control the humidity better, control the temperature, and I can seal it off. So my screens are in a real good environment for drying properly.
Okay.
All the wet stuff's downstairs, all the mucky stuff in its own swampy little room.
Where are your coated, stored, ready to be made screens?
Upstairs.
Upstairs. Okay.
Yeah.
So away from water.
Away from water. Yeah.
So you coat them, dry them, and store them upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was basically to keep dried screens away from water.
Any water source. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it requires a flight of stairs, which is not end at world, but it's. I mean, if it was a high production shop, that would be a big problem. Luckily, it's just myself. But I've gained something at the cost of a little bit of.
So are you exposing like all screens in that job, like a 3-colour job? You're exposing 3 screens, putting them in a black bag, and then walking them down, or?
Yeah, so I will just expose everything, stack them up against the wall, and then when everything's exposed, I'll take them all downstairs, one at a time. Well, a couple at a time. Grab a couple at a time. Take them all downstairs. No need to black bag it because it's UV safe.
Okay.
So I've got this idea in my head of making a slide down the stairs.
It's exactly what we're going to say.
Yeah, and I think I can do it
really
with like
easy to do, just a rail at the top, a rail at the bottom, and just slide them down.
The only thing I don't want to do is
what happens to them at the bottom.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. I want to be able to cushion it. Because there's no point having a slide if you can only do one screen at a time. Might as well just walk
down with it, yeah.
But if you can, as you expose your screens, put them on the slide, and if there's a way to make sure they land against each other gentle.
Well, the thing to do is imagine a slide of a top rail and a bottom rail.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
You slide them down, but there's a stop at the bottom. So you slide them and they stack up the stairs.
Yeah.
Then you walk down the stairs, take the stop out and go 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're the catcher as well.
Well, that's okay. So there's a stop at the very bottom for the first screen. But what I'm concerned about is hitting screen. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So I want to slow that down, which is awkward.
Can you cut an hole in floor?
I mean, I could. I'm not supposed to. Can I and should I?
Little trapdoor. Drop them down on a grab stick
and a fireman's pole.
Yeah,
and I'll come down fireman's pole.
Fireman's pole. Oh, yeah. Fireman down.
Yeah, fireman down. I wanted to be a fireman when I was a kid. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah. So I mean, there is another option. I could put a booth upstairs. Just purely for rinsing exposed screens, but then again,
tank. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Then you move your water back into your room. You don't want it to keep dry.
Yeah, and then the whole thing was sort of pointless by the time I finished. It's a conundrum, Tony. It's a conundrum, but I'll suss it out.
Yeah.
I'll suss it out. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing really, carting heavy gear about and rearranging. I've actually got some upgrades coming. Well, not coming, I've not ordered it yet, but I'm about to pull the plug.
Yeah, honeycomb pallets.
Yeah, that was one of them. The rest of it is screen room related. So I'm about to order a new washout booth with a backlight.
Okay.
All of this is.
I'm interested. Where have you got that from?
Well, all of this is going to land in your DMs for a final seal of approval. The one I don't want to say really because I have no harm, is there? So the one I was looking at was from Screen Print World.
Okay.
It's just a standard fucking
So if Dave
What do you
don't get
call
that
them?
order, he knows it's me that start you out of it, basically.
Yeah. This is why I was hesitant to say it. It's just a urinal with some PVC at back and a light. But I've had you know what? I'll tell you what. Washout booths in this country now. There's not a lot of suppliers got them.
No. So
I don't know why.
did you see my latest one with the guy that made it out of wood?
Oh yeah. Well, when I saw that, it did cross my mind, to be honest.
It's just acrylic sheet, clear plastic sheet,
Yeah,
and silicone to seal it, held within a wooden frame.
and it holds up all right.
It's fucking perfect. There's nothing wrong with it.
Do you know what? I might give that a consideration because I don't know. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Is it as good as good at its job? I mean, how can it
Yeah.
not be? It's just a box, isn't it?
It's just a box. That's all it is. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to redesign it, then you need to have a look at the sort of the urinal design, which is designed to stop splashback, and try and copy something in that.
Yeah, well, you could copy the angles. There's no reason you couldn't. There's
Well,
no
if you
reason you
remember-
couldn't like set it back.
That one in America I saw that was like a V shape going backwards, but only took one screen. Quite like the idea of only one screen. They all seem to be so fucking big. You just don't need them.
Well, I think if I was going to go down the route of building one out of timber, it'd be a twin. So there'd be two identical next to each other. One for clean, one for ink and emulsion stripping.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll put that on the maybe list.
Okay.
Power wash, metal,
Proper pump.
a proper pump. Yeah, proper. That's £500-600. Proper last a lifetime job.
I'd be interested
I'm
in
gonna
where you get
send
that
you-
from.
Yeah, that was hard to find. Let me tell you.
Up here, in north of England, we had Northern Pump distributors, and they were awesome at it.
Yeah.
because they were that's all they did was pumps.
I've so yeah, it was very difficult to find. So the one I found is called a Kranzel K.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can share my screen.
Yeah, I think so. Just gotta-
After I hide all my sensitive
called share.
information. It's a bit risky, isn't it, considering how...
No, because
Well-
you get once you press share, you get to share what you want to share.
I don't mean that, I just
No,
meant
Bond
because
says
of
sure.
just how sensitive and delicate the connection is today. Share.
That might be better. All right, yeah. A Kranzel. I seem
There
to
you
have heard of them. Yeah, that's what you want. Should last you forever.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I was going to send you it. So there was that.
And by the way, a short lance,
Yeah.
so much more ergonomical to use, so much easier to use. You know, instead of the big fuck off lance that they all come with.
Yeah.
This is no good for anybody just tuning in or anybody on Spotify.
On Spotify. For
You know the big sort of, like, 3
FYI,
foot
Tony
lance?
is drawing back an arrow.
Yes. The Hunger Games. Yeah, so the big 3 foot lance, of no use to you whatsoever. It's much
No, it's
easier
big,
to
isn't it?
use with a short lance,
Right, I'll have to give it a go.
like a foot.
Well, this one doesn't seem to have.
No, because
See how it is.
I saw the little yellow nozzles.
Yeah,
so
you
they're
just change
wide,
the nozzles,
either
don't
wide
you?
or straight nozzles.
Yeah. So I'll get one of them.
Yeah.
What else was on my list?
Easy enough.
About $2,000 worth of screen remeshing. I'm going in.
All right.
Getting the old
You're going-
because
you're
I've
going
had
for
a
it.
build up of frames that I've had for just built up over years, and I've never really bothered to remesh it too many times. But I thought, bugger it, I might as well get it all done in one go.
Good.
Um, From our friend Screen Machine, is it Chris?
Chris Hale. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Chris
single
Hale,
best screen maker in the country.
I mean, I've not had any yet, but I will. I have no reason to doubt your.
Are you getting the glue running or not?
Yeah.
Have you measured your coating trough?
18-inch, I think it is.
So
I'm not, but I'm
whatever
pretty
your
sure.
coating trough is. So what size screens do you use? 20, 21.
Is it 23 by 32 or something?
I use big ones.
Yeah.
It's 23 by 31 if they're big ones for a manual.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay, so mathematically, you've got 1.5 inches either side. So you got 23
31. Yeah.
You've got 23 that way. 1.5 inch box section, 40mm box section, so that takes 3 off. So now you're down to 20 inch on the inside. So if you run it in 30mm either side, no, you probably want to go 40mm either side.
I think so, yeah. So
40mm either side will
18
leave you. 40mm either side will leave you about 16.5 inches.
I could look at the email. I think that's what he's put. It'll leave a gap. Because really you want the trough to overlap.
Open area. So 16.5 inch open area, 18 inch trough.
Right.
So you've got overlap on this side.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send him an email and just double check that. Because really you want the trough to
sit on the glue.
Overlap here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I've done is I've sent him 15 frames, 5 of each, 42, 63 or 4 and 90. Give him a test with a glue, and then if I'm happy, I've got about 50 to send or something. So that's my screens. Washout booth. New dip tank. A dip tank and chemical, just a kit.
So the dip tank, I can't find a cheap one. And I don't want to pay 500
like 500 quid.
500 quid for a plastic tub. Somebody's having somebody's strides down somewhere.
Yeah. So,
but it's got to be one piece. You can't make it.
No. So what I have used in the past is a bottle bank, but they're too flimsy to hold that amount of liquid in. So if you go, you'll know. You go to a pub in a bar, they have these things for all the bottles to drink in. Yeah. If you can get 2 types, so you can get one with caster wheels on, or you can get one that just literally sits on the floor with no wheels.
Yeah.
The ones that sit on the floor are better because the one with caster wheels, the weight of the water will start to bow it. Yeah. But if you can get one of them for 80 quid and build a frame around it to hold it tight, you could have a dip tank for 150 quid. 80 quid for a bucket and 50 quid for some timber.
Yeah, because you've got to brace it around it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you wanted to do it on cheap,
froze for that, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so basically you're building a frame to brace the edges so they don't bow out.
Yeah.
I have actually got one.
There's lots around. Who else used to do one? There's a guy who used to do one. Richards of Hull.
All right. That sounds familiar.
Now, Richards of Hull have the most 1980s website I've ever seen, and I've had it for 20 years. The guy spends nothing on his website whatsoever. But he used to make all the darkroom equipment.
Oh my God.
Is it still the same?
Yeah, it was built in 1972. Yeah, but here's the thing. He's from Hull. He's on the road for me.
He's from Hull. So you might be able to get him to build you a dip tank.
Ooh.
He does washout bowls, dip tanks, darkroom equipment.
I wonder how much his booths are. Hey, up. Right.
Sorry, I don't know. I've only ever bought... Do you know what? The only thing I ever bought from him was the encapsulate orange sleeves that go over for
right.
He was a dealer for encapsulates. That's where I found him. Oh, no, I tell a lie. Solvent recirculating unit.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't do the washout booth on top, but he did the recirc unit.
Yeah.
And it's about 1,500 quid because it has to be ATEX. It has to be explosion proof. If it's not explosion proof, you don't want to use it because you're using these highly flammable solvents. But yeah, he used to do those.
Someone give him a call.
I presume it's a group. I don't know. Never heard of them.
Richards. I'll give him a call after this.
Of all. How far away from you is it?
40 minutes. In fact, not half an hour. Half an hour. 14 traffic, half an hour when it's a clear day.
It might be worth it.
It might be. Might be able to chuck one in the van. Hey, up. Got to rate bargain there. So
just broadcast it to everybody else. Get there before Friday.
Yeah. So in short, everything that I've said I was going to buy has already been replaced just in this episode with something else, an alternative. But yeah, anyway. So so I've been doing a bit of window shopping, bit of moving about. And that's all I've done with my week, honestly. I've done a little bit of printing. But mainly I'm just chipping away at that screen room and I'm trying to get over this hurdle of the screen room being such a big bottleneck. In a nutshell.
Right, okay.
And what about
Good.
you? What have you been doing?
I think that's it. What have I been doing?
Aye.
It's taken me a while to adjust. So, got back from America, did printwear and promotion, worked the rest of that week. No, we're still in that week, aren't we?
Sad to tell. I think so.
I think we're still in
Was it
that
last
week.
weekend?
Yeah. That's what I mean by me. I'm struggling to know where I am at the minute.
No, it wouldn't, the weekend before.
So,
anyway, whatever.
what it?
I don't know. We'll just
I must have done
don't
something. I
matter,
must have
does
been
it?
working. I can't be sat in my ass all week. You know what I mean? How can I? So I was at place. I've been to a place down in Exeter where they bought two new machines, two new presses. So these have gone from M&R to MHM. So I spent 3 days with them. Done my wooden print shop.
Yeah.
Guys down at Broadside. Great little place because that is in the middle of a shopping arcade.
I've got a burning question.
Go on.
How does Broadside keep his plants alive in a screen print environment?
Well, when I walked in, there's only two left.
Oh, well, that answers that.
Where's all your plants? Oh, yeah, they died.
I remember when he first set up and he had plants everywhere. Got on Instagram. And I thought, I'm going to try that. And I got two little plants to put on my window. Died within about 4 days. And I thought, well, better you than me.
Yeah, it's a strange environment for a plant. It's a strange environment for people, but
and it's in the middle of a shopping centre.
So yeah, I was looking for him, and you've been to Leeds, like Victorian Quarter and arcade, like a shopping arcade.
Yeah,
not a big shopping centre like a modern one, but an old one built into like an archway, and you walk through, and the shops on either side, and then there's a cafe at end. So I walked there. This is what address I've been given, and I walked through, and there's a guitar shop, there's a guy that fixes typewriters, there's a bookshop, and there's a cafe. Oh, this is the address. Where are you? He said, oh yeah, we're just upstairs. Upstairs? Okay. So then I'm thinking, I've not really done enough research on this. I'm sure you were an auto shop. But if he's upstairs, it must be a manual shop. All right, no problem. So goes up the stairs, goes to a design office. Everybody's got Macs and everybody's looking. And we go onto a balcony overlooking the same shopping centre that I've just been in, shopping arcade centre that I've been in. I was really, really quaint. And then, boom, there's an auto just sat there running away like colour rock. Just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, I did not expect that. And the first question I asked,
which wall did he knock out?
Did you get that up here?
I remember seeing it on his stories.
He came through there, went through there, he came through there. I'm like, oh, Christ, that's some achievement. Yeah, but nice little print shop, all water-based.
Yeah.
All eco-friendly. Definitely dolphins and turtles friendly. One guy shop. I keep seeing this. This is basically you with an auto.
So this is a one guy auto shop. This is where I'm trying to go.
One guy auto shop, which is pretty much where you want to be. Yeah. And as soon as one of our sponsors or some of our sponsors that want to be come up with an auto, nice little sort of like 6'8", then we'll be all right. So we had a nice little 810 little Rock U, which was, nice, small, compact, only about 3.5 meters circumference. So
really?
Diameter.
Is it really that small?
Diameter, yeah. 3.6 meters.
Wow. Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
See, I've measured up. I could probably fit one of them, but I thought it was more like 4 and a bit.
No, I measured it. I actually got a tape measure from that head down there. And that's been measured because
3.5.
I thought that sort of footprint usually gets you the 6 colour, but this were an 8 colour.
Yeah.
But I think they take one of the stations out, so you've only got one load and unload station. But if you're working on your own, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's what it's more aimed at, isn't it?
And then leave you like a space for your flash.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all right. Nice little shop. Then I started to get obsessed with the woodwork there.
It's all a bit handcrafted, isn't it? Everything.
Who's the woodwork freak? You went, me. I mean, you made everything. I noticed the drawers first. I was like, all right, made your own drawers out of OSB, and I thought, okay, that's no problem. And then at the back of the printer, guarding the roll of the printer, was this little wooden greenhouse.
A wooden greenhouse.
Did you see it on back at film printer, posi printer?
It rings a bell. I feel like I remember seeing it in a. Oh, it held a roll.
It covered the roll.
Right.
So one on the sides, perspex on the top.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it, but I've got to ask the question. Why? He says, with all the plants in here, we had lots of little flies and aphids. And they love the polyester coating on the film. So that's sort of like to keep the little flies off. Okay. Every problem has a solution.
Yeah.
And then obviously his little squeegee stands, loved them as well. Walking through and then I hit his washout booths, and his washout booths are made of wood.
Yeah.
Which you might think, that's crazy, but no, he just put clear plastic sheets, base, 2 sides and a back, sealed them with silicone. I do absolutely perfectly for the job. One dirty one clean one. I mean, it worked an absolute treat. It's beyond my carpentry skills, like, 'cause I can't stick 2 bits of glue to 2 bits of wood together without some Gorilla Glue. But he obviously knew what he was doing when putting 2 bits of wood together, which I don't. So if you're a bit of a wood butcher, then get yourself made some stuff. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I try to make as much as I can, to be honest. All my work benches and stuff like that are all built. I enjoy it. I think if I wasn't screen printing, I'd be playing with wood.
Very environmentally friendly in there. So you let that go then, didn't you? I saw your little sort of like 12-year-old mind go, I'm going to play it down up.
I thought it froze. I thought either it's froze or you're just ignoring it on purpose to make me look silly. Show how childish I am.
So, Danny's wood apart. We'll move on. Some of the very environmentally friendly stuff. So it was all water based, no plastisol at all. Which again, the question I always ask is, why do you want to do water based? Do you want to do water based for you, for the customer, for the turtles and dolphins? What's the reason? And it's important because it helps you decide what to charge. Because if you've got a customer demanding water based, you have to pay more money, just like the organic fruit and veg.
Yeah.
If you want to do it for you, then you've got to go through the pain of learning how to do water based and all the associated delays involved, production delays in the beginning. And as a side note, is pallet paper. So you put pallet paper on your pallets, yeah?
Yeah.
And I watched him. He cleans them meticulously.
Yeah.
Very, very meticulous kind of personality. And I said, all right. And I watched him do it, and he was very efficient at it. I said, so, how often do you change the paper? He said, this paper's been on for 8 months now.
Really? That seems a lot.
8 months?
Yeah, but surely it's easy to just rip it off and put new stuff on.
It was clean. He cleaned it quite well. And do you know what he used to clean it with?
A toothbrush?
Coconut husk.
Coconut husk?
A coconut husk scrubber.
Right.
It fetched all the lint off, didn't damage the paper, worked exceptionally well. So he'd spray water on with his little plant sprayer.
Yeah.
That soaked for a little bit, and then go around and just use this coconut husk scrubber and clean them all off, and then a loofah to dry them off.
Hey, I tell you.
We're looking for all these new products. They already exist, mate.
I'm going to say half of them I reckon if you walked into every shop, you'll come away with something that you've not. Well, you know what I mean. You can pick little things.
No, you're right. Every shop, every single shop, and there's always something. That's why I love my job. Because there's always one tiny little thing that I'm like, well, I've never seen that before. And coconut husk to clean with. Well, that Broadside, that place. Big shout out to Dan at Broadside Printing. He had a lot of stuff that I've not seen before, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means I haven't seen it before.
Not. No, absolutely not. When you say coconut husk, am I right thinking husk is like the fibres?
The skin, so it's almost like the outside, the brown bit on the outside.
Yeah, so it's like
so somebody's made it into a scrubber. So he didn't go and throw balls at the local fairground.
He didn't just get a coconut and just
coconuts off. Somebody's put all those fibres together into like a circular scrubber.
Yeah,
was using that.
Yeah, so I've introduced scrubbing pads into my workflow again.
For the
now
glue?
that I've got me gel pads, so that's interesting. That's interesting to
try those.
Have a look at.
That's a little bit gentler.
Ah, cool. So that might not be. It might be quite useful in the washing screens process for agitating your chemicals.
Yeah,
I wonder. Let's put that on as a give a go. Coconut husk.
Coconut husk scrubber. There we go. Look straight away at Husky Home.
Husky Home.
Husky Home. Circular. Exactly that. $3.99.
That's not... See, I typed Husky Home into Google and I've not got the same thing.
I can't see anything wrong with that.
Coconut scrubber.
Hey?
Coconut
Husky.
scrubber.
Huski.
What are you seeing? Ah, there we go. Right. Here we go then. Shout out number 2. No, not Chrome tab. Boom. $3.99. Quite pricey, that, isn't it?
There you go. Coconut.
Ah, but look, you get a loofah bundle.
Was it with the loofah as well? Look, see, that's where we're using the loofah. That's why it's got that as well. $6.99.
Ah.
8 months worth of cleaning palette paper.
Hey, not bad. Hey, bye. Yeah, we're treating you in this episode, aren't we? Presentations and everything.
Check you out with your little share screen button now. You found it.
I know, it's going to be on every whole episode now. I'm just looking for excuses now. Hey, I don't know. So that is a cool little innovation.
That was a nice little find. Obviously, the standard in the industry is to apply glue, reapply glue, reapply glue, reapply glue. So, although that worked, he wasn't high production.
No.
He was very low production. So one guy on his own with a press and a dryer and to clean his boards every sort of like 300 shirts or so, he would spray water, let the water soak for a little bit, one revolution, and then scrub the lint off. Causes a mess on the floor as well, don't forget.
Yeah. So let's try and segue that into the gel pads that I promoted last week. So I've been trying it for a week.
Yeah, you've had a week now with them.
I've had a week. So that process you've just described of scrubbing it, refreshing the palettes, glue going all over the floor, that process still exists. You scrub it. But the lint or the crap that ends up on the floor, there's no glue worked into it. So it literally just hoovers up. So that's one bonus point. We can call that a tick. So clean. Your big concern was the slowdown time. And having used it, it's there. You have to scrub it. Because what your process of just topping it up, a really high production shop, if that's their process, the gel pads, you're not going to be able to do that.
It's not going to
you have to scrub them. Yeah, you have to scrub them. But what I would say though is, having used them, I found the best practice was they're already hot. They're hot and they're warm. So I'm not scrubbing and then drying them off or sending them under the flash to dry and waiting for them to come back. I'm literally just giving them a quick scrub. Almost like if I was printing a run of shirts, I would grab a can every couple of prints. Instead of grabbing a can, I'm just giving it a quick scrub, chucking a top on. If you do that and get into that practice, get into that rhythm, you're not getting a massive build-up of lint. So you're not getting any crap on your shirts, on the inside of your shirts, or your hoodies or your fleece or anything like that. Because you're just getting into this rhythm before it builds up. So you can basically just scrub at the image area, just a quick and then load and then crack on. So there's a bit of slow down time, but the heat's not an issue at all. The heat almost helps. Because when you wet your palette and you scrub it, you don't have to worry about drying it off before you put another top on. It's dry. It's pretty much dry. The heat's sort of evaporating it as it goes. So I've found this quite positive so far. There's a video coming. Just taking me a while to do it. But I want to be... Yeah, I want to stick with it, yeah. So I've got 2 sheets of each strength, and the question I've got at the moment is which strength to apply to my entire palette
for you.
And to call that my all-in-one, something that will handle t-shirts and handle fleece at the same time, because I don't want to mess about swapping it. You can put sheets on top of sheets, so you could get a medium strength, and then if you wanted to do fleece, put a high strength on top. That's totally doable. But I'd rather just find something that I can put on my press and then forget about. So yeah, that's what I just want to play around with it a bit more before making make a proper decision.
Yeah.
But otherwise, so good. But yeah, I would actually broadside. He could probably really benefit from that. Actually, thinking about it. You might want to give that a go. Because that would be right up his street. Because there's no glues, there's no palette adhesives, no spray.
Yeah, I did mention it to him. He was interested. So
yeah. Off we go.
I think you're right, yeah. I think it probably would interest him.
That is probably almost
a
target audience. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, that is the target audience. You and that guy, they're definitely target audience. Yeah.
Although we do know somebody in America.
Big Dave.
Who swears on it.
Yeah, Big Dave told us that there's somebody in America plays with it, so I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
But with an MHM auto, so they must be using it quite well.
It's on a... so that's another person then. So Everpress... sorry, I always say his name wrong. Evergood Supply.
Evergood Supply, yeah.
Yeah, we chat to him. So he sent me a reel...
a musical reel. Oh, he's using it.
Yeah, so that's a rock, and they're using it.
All right, okay. With good result.
Apparently, they swear by it. Apparently, they love it. And that is LMP Inc. Imp.eco. So it's an eco-friendly shop as well.
All right, okay.
So anyway, yeah, that's another plug. I'm not getting paid for it, but there you go.
No, it's time we did.
Well, it'll come, Tony. I just do it for the love of screen print.
We do, yeah.
So I did sort of steal your topic. Any other sort of bullet points that you saw at Broadside that stood out?
No, I think that's probably about it. I mean, I went down there to sort out a problem that my next visit also had, which is pinholes in water-based printing.
Right.
And it's a bane. It's a proper
a toddler from Hull. Nobody will get that.
It's a proper. You're a limited audience.
That was very niche.
It's a really. If you're Jade Maria, she'd have got it.
She'd have laughed, yeah.
But it's too cold for her.
So she's not in my good books right now.
So yeah, pinholes in water-based is a thing, and I wrote an article in Images. As it turned out, the question was put by Dan, a broadside. So it was his question. And then when I went down there, I was like, oh, God, there isn't always a one-shot solution at this.
No.
It's one of those problems that could have many, many issues. And it could also be one of those problems that you can't solve. And I hate those.
Yeah.
But true to form, I'd given him a list of things that we need to make sure that we have, which does tie into a little bit of my... if I had a magic suitcase that I could take with me to every visit, my sort of like a rescue pack, if you like, for every shop that I walk into, I'm starting to find it's a very, very similar sort of thing. Number one would be a tension meter.
You've buggered up one of my bloody... one of my...
Number two would be new squeegee blade.
Yeah.
And number three would be new screens. Because Dan had been struggling with this job, which I've got a real affinity to because it was called Fat Boy. And I'm all right with that. That's sat quite nicely with me. So
it resonates. Or wobbles.
It did, it resonated. So, and he's done this job and had lots of troubles with it. And the only real thing we did was, apart from concentrate on some coating techniques, which were just reducing the amount of emulsion, not increasing, believe it or not. A lot of his issues were too many coats.
Oh, right.
So we reduced the emulsion on the top colours a little bit. And we changed the squeegee for new blades. And we got some new 55s. So 43s weren't working, 62s weren't working, but 55s were bang on the button. And when we printed it, it was done, finished.
Right.
On first hit. Now we take that exact same thing, and I went to Calder Screen Print yesterday, and they didn't have this issue. That's not why I was there. It was to try and teach the guys some training on water-based printing from scratch. You know, what is it? What does it do? How do we do it? How do we approach it? Multicolour HSA. They've done 2 and 3 colour jobs on white shirts. Piece of piss.
Yeah.
To start doing HSA from scratch gets a little bit difficult. And one of the issues I ran into while I was running the press was pinholing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, come on. You show people how to do this. You tell people how to get rid of this. And I struggled. I pushed it to the limit. And, if I've got a screen that's just on the 18 mark rather than the 22 mark on tension, then, is it that? And because I didn't have a tension meter, I didn't know.
Ah, right.
And was it the squeegees? Well, I made them change the squeegees for new ones, and it made it worse.
It made it worse, right? So, what does that point towards? Made it worse. Maybe it was a tension issue.
It's probably tension.
Is it not?
At the end of the day, there wasn't enough ink going through the mesh.
So, hang on. Let's just clarify something here. When we're talking about pinholing, are we talking about colours on top of a base?
Yes, colours on top of a base looking like a snowstorm.
It isn't a heat issue. So when I've run into this problem before with high solid acrylic, the thing that personally resolved it for me was controlling the temperature when it came back to me. So when I got a flash with a timer, reducing it to be flashed, like dialing it in basically, so it wasn't getting too hot, and by the time it came back around, the colours were sitting on top of an ink that isn't releasing air. It were cool enough to put colours on top, and that's what resolved it for me. Yeah, but obviously, I'm sure it's different for every shop, but maybe that was something to consider. No,
you're missing something there. If you boil the ink, then the steam coming off the ink, the water and the vapour coming out of the ink of the base especially can pop the top surface. And we had a little bit of that, absolutely. I turned the flashes right up because we were doing samples. We weren't doing production, no. We were doing samples. And it got better throughout the run, but the first 10 were definitely speckly, too speckly. And it was one of those things like, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing here. Ring my mate Danny. How did you solve it? Turn heat down. All right then, bye.
Turn your flash down.
So yeah, but my rescue kit would have those three things in. Tension meter. New blade. Number one new blade. I'm thinking of actually taking blades with me just to prove to people that it is the blade that's the issue. It's like printing with an old flip-flop. It's just no use whatsoever. A tension meter to give a number. And a laser temperature gun. Now, most shops have a laser temperature gun to check the temperature of the dryer.
Not enough.
I use it to check the temperature of the pallets.
Right. Yeah.
Because you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. When we're preheating and warming everything up, you put your hand on the pallet and you go, yeah, that's about right. And you know, you can probably gauge temperature within 5 degrees and you know you're happy.
Yeah.
But for me, teaching someone from scratch, it's like, put your hand on there. And the experienced printer go, yeah, that's about right. No, that's a bit cold. But no, give me a number.
Yeah,
give me a number. Only in the first week, get a laser temperature gun and put your hand on it and go, that feels about 45. And then test it and go, oh, 22, I'm miles off. And
that plays into what's the word? That plays into ensuring information doesn't get diluted. So feel the next person, like you said, the next person can touch and go. But if you get a number range, every time it can't be messed up, can it?
No.
And that number range, as long as that number range is passed down, if somebody takes over that job, that number range is stuck on a wall somewhere. Check your pallet temperatures.
Yeah, because if it's too different for different inks, it's sticky. If it's too hot, it's sticky. If I'm talking over the top of it, it's because you freeze. I'm sorry.
I know, it's all right. It's all right. It's a little bit awkward.
What's happening? I tell you, just so everybody knows what's happening, is you freeze for around about 2 seconds. Then the following 2 seconds, you're at super speed. So we're talking in real time, but there's a 5-second space where you don't say anything, and then you say everything all at once. So I think you've gone quiet, so I jump in, and then we're both talking at the same time. So bear with us on this connection issue. I do normally talk over the top of you anyway, I've noticed when I read stuff back. So
I'm used to it now. I'm used to it. It's just done it again. Hasn't it?
I know, yeah. You were drinking that water for 3 full minutes.
So whilst you've got me, not only is it an issue, not only do you need to know those temperatures, you'll need to know those temperatures for different inks. So certain water-based inks from our friends at M, can't do with them. Our friends at M.
They've just reposted you.
No,
you're the best.
It is a fun game. I enjoy the game. I'm going to keep on playing it. Okay. Some of their inks are very specifically require certain palette temperatures to be usable. I think is it the ND range or something? Yeah.
Which range?
Was it ND or HB or something?
Be specific.
I can't remember. I don't use it. I just know.
Solids, HB is medium solids.
Anyway, one of them, you need your temperatures between so you want your palette temperature between a certain range for it to be usable, basically.
So we just keep doing that then?
We'll get little calling cards every time we want to get one. We'll just flash.
I need to work out one for Dave Roper now, but it has to be nice.
I nearly held it up then, but I thought it's a good job I didn't. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, do you agree or do you not agree? Give him a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Which is why I love the little temperature probe thing, because you'll probably only use it for a week. Because after that week, you will get used to it. You will know. But I recently did a video very similar to this, and it was if the ink is too cold, it's sticky. And if the ink is too hot, it's sticky. And it's very difficult to know which way you've gone, whether you've gone too hot or too cold. But if you can get a temperature probe on those pallets and give it a number, a quantifiable window to work in, and then it also helps you work out that, well, I've been doing this job all day, and this afternoon it's been shit. Well, why? What you didn't realise is there's a guy over there taking delivery of a 40-foot container. He's had the shutter door open for the last 3 hours. And the temperature is just bleeding out the pallets. And you don't know, but you're actually 6 or 7 degrees below the minimum point where it stops sticking. It starts sticking above. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying. So that actually played quite well. It sort of answered my question. So you've got your consulting kit bag to build now.
It's growing. It's growing. Yeah.
What I was going to ask, I thought this would be a fun topic. Print shop essentials that get neglected, and you kind of ticked off.
Yeah.
One of them for me was a tension meter. That would be. I can imagine there's a lot of print shops that's cheap out on that and don't get one. And the donut probe. Donut probe.
It's not easy for you to say that, is it?
No.
What's
Not a lot
wrong
of
with
things are, Tony.
The word donut.
It's because I start salivating as soon as I say it.
Yeah, so Adkins thermoprobe with the donut on. Absolutely essential for measuring dryer temperature, because we've been through this before. We don't care what temperature the air is. We don't care what temperature the shirt is. We're only interested in what temperature the ink is. And there's only one reliable way of measuring the ink, and that's to drop something into the ink. So a sticker can't do that. A laser is just not good enough because you can only measure it when it comes out. So if it's hit 162 or 170, whatever it is your ink's dialed into, usually 162 for plastisol, if it's hit that 162 in the middle of the dryer, but then it's coming back out as it naturally does, and you measure it at the end at 140, you think, oh shit, it's only 140, I've got to turn it up, and then you get brown, white shirts.
Yeah, and then you can use a little hack that I gave away several episodes ago.
Sodium
Don't ask me what it is now, so I can't remember.
peroxide, hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, I've got it in a bottle over here.
Yeah.
Just have it handy.
So that's number one. A laser pointer, yes, number two. A thickness gauge for your emulsion, number three. And a digital loop. Or even
that was on my
loop.
list. Yeah, so you've got a loop, which is quite fancy. It plugs into your Mac, doesn't it?
I have a digital loop, and it was not that expensive.
I know, like 30 quid on Amazon or something.
20, 30 quid from Amazon.
Yeah.
So that's that digital loop.
Gonna get one of them.
Connects wirelessly to me MacBook or to my phone.
Yeah.
And it gives us a good close-up idea of what's going on, both in print and on screen. Surface of the emulsion, the edge of the emulsion. Again,
make sure you're getting no sawtooth in.
Dan at Broadside was blown away by the way that I showed him to develop. And he's been making screens for a long time. But when we got the loop on the side of his image, I knew just from looking at the side of his stencil, I knew he was using high power to develop his stencils.
Yeah,
straight away.
sawtoothing.
Yeah, because it was all sawtooth and zigzagged. So without saying anything to him, I said, let me see you develop a screen. And sure enough, even from the shirts, the squeegee side, the ink side.
Really? Wow.
And I'm like,
no.
I had to stop him. Stop. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, let's just use the garden hose that's here. We used the garden hose that's there, we soaked it, and then I talked bullshit to him for about 3 minutes solid on purpose. I didn't normally do it by accident, but I did it on purpose this time.
We've got an hour and a half podcast, and that's all it is, to be fair.
You've got 3 screens in the developing tank, just put this on. And then while I was talking to him, he's like, yeah. And that's right, now, watch this. And we're just the lightest of water pressure, it just fell out.
Yeah.
Like this is a positive move for a soak tank. 100% for a soak tank.
Yeah. A soak tank on the cheap, a bottle bank. If you don't use it for dipping your stripper, use it for just dipping it in water.
So I have seen, and I've only seen this once, and I have to wonder why I've only seen it once, because I thought it was a superb idea. In the washout booth, developing tank,
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
run the pipe up, put 2 holes in the top, and just let water dribble out over these two screens.
You can get
I thought it was a good
like garden
idea.
centres have them,
I
don't they?
suppose,
We have the sprinklers.
yeah. So there must be a
Like
couple
that-
of reasons. Like you don't want water to go all over the place, and if you're on a water meter, you don't want water pissing about all over the place.
No, that's true. I mean, you see them at garden centres. You see these sprayer systems for watering plants. If you could get one that like fired a fine spray, and you just chuck your screen and then go bugger off do something else.
If I was in any way, shape, or form handy, which I'm not, I would just take some 15mm copper tube. And you know the DTG machines, the pre-treat, have these little plastic nozzles that you just throw away after a while, and they're not very expensive. I just screw 2 of those in and just let it spray. Really little cheap, like agricultural nozzles.
Well, I'll write that on my list. Garden centre
God,
spray system.
What else? What was on your screen print essentials? Hi, Tony.
Yeah, Tony. Just call Tony. So a loop and a tension meter. Well, and that was it. That was it. I literally only thought of this. I was hoping you might help elaborate.
Yeah, well, so we definitely
the thing
tools
is,
to measure.
You go in and out of shops, so you know what people are missing. From my point of view, what's missing in my shop? A tension meter, a loop. I have got a loop,
see?
but I'd like a digital one. I want a digital one. Now, I never considered a emulsion thickness gauge. Now, that might be a really useful tool, actually.
My problem with an emulsion thickness gauge is I've got one and I paid less than £100 for it because I'm from Yorkshire. And I don't get good results.
All right. It's not ideal.
And my theory, it's quite unproven, but my theory is it's such a thin beam of detection that at some points I'm checking the mesh, and sometimes I'm going through the mesh, and
Yeah,
I have to say, like, take 10 and take a mean
Right.
average reading. And for me, anything that doesn't give me the perfect number every time, it's not worth the toss. And so I've stopped taking it to shops with me now. I think it's too confusing. There used to be an EOM, emulsion over mesh, and an RZ, so it measured the resistance. But these tools are in the thousands. Like, do I really want to go that deep into it when... And this sounds really demeaning, but at the end of the day, we're just printing fucking T-shirts. And I can feel with the ridge of my finger whether there's a lip of emulsion or not. And I know that's really hillbilly, but for what we're doing, I think it works. But to control a variable, most people now are using an auto coater. So there is no inconsistency. And if you are measuring EOM with a squishy person putting the emulsion on, how the fuck do you control it?
No, well, I guess if you're the one coating screens manually, it's kind of overkill because you can read it, you can see how thick it is, but you can't do too much about it.
Yeah, so what's the point?
So,
this is why I said that you've got to. This is the same with the tension meter. So you say you're going to buy a tension meter. What are you going to do? What for? You have to have a what if. So I'm measuring. I'm measuring all my emulsion, my tension on my screens. Perfect. But what if? What's the fail point? You know, there's no point measuring and go, yeah, that one's bad.
No. Well,
what's bad?
You would use it as a gauge as to when to replace the screens. So whenever it drops below whatever it is, I don't know, but whenever it drops below that point and it loses a certain amount of tension, it goes in a pile ready to be remeshed. And then
so my number is 18. Okay, so if it falls below 18, I'm going to take a knife and put it through.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I'm not paying for the mesh. So when you're on a budget, when you can't just throw money at it, when it's your money, then you'd mark it as an 18 and go, right, I'm going to use that for single colour. I might get another year out of that as a single colour screen.
Yeah.
But now in my screen room, I've got single colour, multiple colour.
Gets a bit complex.
It gets really complicated, but at the end of the day, it's all about bottom line. It's all about how much money you take home. So you've got to be prudent if you're a one-man shop. If you're a 5-press auto shop, then the cost of putting a knife through that 20 quid screen will pay for itself the next day. Just in this time.
I did a job other day. I did a job other day on some fleece, and it was a 42 mesh. Felt fine. Felt like there was plenty of tension. Didn't feel too bad. Exposed to the screen. Got it on press, and I was just getting a little bit of between the print flash print, and I know it's not a heat related issue, and I know it's not a tack related issue. It was the mesh. It was just a little bit below tension. So the hoodies that I printed, I wasn't 1,000% happy with. It was barely noticeable, but I noticed that that screen was starting to lose enough tension to affect the quality of the print. So in that case, I could have caught that, and I could have not saved the job because the job didn't need saving, but you know what I mean. I could have gone, oh, this screen's past it. Move on to the next screen, which is in good tension, and I won't ever run into that problem again.
Go back to why I don't like the roller frames. The roller frames I don't like because they introduce another step that you have to do, so they're high maintenance. If you have a tension meter, when do you check it? At what point? And do you do it every time? Or do you do like I do? Put your thumb on it and go, that's within the range. That's within the range. That feels out of the range. I'll use a dial to check it.
Yeah. It depends how you are, doesn't it? You could be a bit OCD about it and check every screen every single time. I mean, to be honest, how long does it take to put that on top of a screen and go, oh yeah, that's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't forget, I have about 17 flights of stairs to walk up, so I've got time in between those flights of stairs to leave a tension meter sat on a screen. So I might as well.
Yeah.
But it's probably underestimated, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, how much of an impact tension can have on registration, for example. Never mind the sharpness of a print, but registration. If you're using two screens, so you've got your white and then you've got a colour sat on top, and let's just say it's a nice half-tone print. If the tension ranges are different enough, you'll struggle to register. Ideally you want to use screens that are in the same tension range for proper registration. So again,
with it, yeah, definitely.
Just having that tool there, that helps resolve. Helps you to keep an eye on that issue. I'm glad I got that off my chest. Give him a minute. He'll leave about it a sec. Oh, God. Right. I've got a question for you.
Go on.
Are we done with that topic?
I think
Is
so.
there any more print essentials that everybody skips on because they're tight?
The things we need to measure are humidity control. That's our humidity temperature.
There's another good one.
Sensor, measuring equipment. Measure your dryer, measure your tension of your screens, because we can't control what we don't measure. If we're not measuring it, we can't control it because we don't know whether it's in or out of our set parameters.
Yeah, I think that's a good one actually. Humidity.
Yeah, humidity sensor, and they're like £6. They're like nothing. So you should have them all over the place.
Yeah, well, you get the tiny little things.
Yeah.
They've got like a clock, a watch battery in. They last forever.
Yeah.
And they're disposable for like a tenner for like 6 of them. Just chuck them in room. And what we're saying, 50%. Does it matter if it goes below? You'll just have a sneeze, Tony. Go on, get it out. You'll get it out.
You also froze at the same time, so it worked well. Yeah, I mean, the visits I've done this week, the guy had an analogue hygrometer, like an old barometer thing, sat
Bloody hell.
in his drying cabinets at the bottom. So no batteries.
Well, that'll last forever. Oh, that's cool. That's a broadside. I can imagine he'll have one of them.
It is, yeah.
Oh, dear.
You had to narrow it down. There were only two.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you, Tony. Did you discover what ZLF meant? What it stood for?
Was that
Discharge ZLF or something?
Oh, right, it's not a song.
No.
Zinc sulfate, and I don't know the F. I'm pretty sure. I didn't think the F was formaldehyde. Did you find out?
No, I didn't look. I just put it on my list. I put it on my list to have a look, and then I just got sidetracked, and before I know it, we recorded an episode.
Oh, it's something to do with hair.
To do with hair, bloody hell.
ZSF.
No, it's ZLF, isn't it?
No, ZFS. Formaldehyde containing ZFS. No, don't know. No.
Maybe we should ask Teresa. I think Teresa will know.
Well, ask Teresa. What does ZFS stand for? Let us know. So you're your best buddy, is she? Because now she's reposted your little Yorkshire thing.
Yeah. I just elevated Magna's marketing to a whole new level.
Absolutely,
That's going viral, I'm telling you.
ZFS? Zinc formaldehyde sulfate? I'm sure it's zinc sulfate, but
it's something to do with formaldehyde. I'm like 90% sure because I've heard it before. I think whilst I was there at the academy, I'm pretty sure they told me.
Oh, you did that
years
academy
ago.
thing, didn't you?
Yeah, quite a lot of years ago, like 5 years ago or something.
I think Sarah's done it this week.
I think she's been this weekend, I think, hasn't she? Yeah. It's good. Good place to go. Right,
they all had safety glasses on while they were printing.
Oh yeah, the make you. Yeah, so it's like an insurance thing. So you all have to wear these bleeding goggles. But they always go. They were nice enough to say, "Look, I know this is ridiculous, and I know it's a bit OTT, but can you all put these on because otherwise we won't get insured." And you have to wear an eye-vis as well, a vest, a tabard. Who else gone bloody mad, hasn't it, Tony? Right, I'm going for a wee, Tony. Is that all right?
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Don't forget to cut this bit out, though.
Oh, well.
Just get me with my finger up my nose.
Let me just double check there's nothing here.
Well,
I've got a story to tell you, actually.
My notes are supposed to say water-based pinholes, and it says waterbed pinholes.
That's not ideal. Waterbed. That is the last thing you need.
Bed pinholes. Why have I written waterbed pinholes? Okay. I'm worried now that that's been auto-corrected on all my invoices.
Yeah.
Waterbed?
Fix your waterbed pinholes.
Tony came down and fixed my waterbed problems. Strange.
Shall I tell you a story?
Go for it. I love a Danny story. Go for it.
I probably should have thought about the story before I said, "Shall I tell you a story?" Right. Let me picture the scene. Email comes
story
in.
To tell.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember it as I go. Phone goes. I get a call off a lady last week.
This is your whinge that you had online with Inter.
Have you seen it? Yeah, well, I'm going to regurgitate it on here. Calls up and she's from some sort of like school charity of some sort. And she's in a desperate rush. She's left it till the last minute for some shirts and sweatshirts. But she needs printing for an event. It turned out actually it wasn't that much of a rush for me. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But she thought it was a rush. And in a way, it was good of her to feel like that is a rush, really, because some people ring up 2 days before.
Yeah,
so
on the day.
Yeah. So anyway, it was quite a lot of information. So she sent me in it. So I said, "Yeah, look, I can fit it in for you. It all sounds fairly okay. Put it all in an email. Let me go through it, price it up, etc." She put all the information. It was quite complex because there were lots of colour variations, etc., and stuff like that, and different garments and different colour garments. So there was a big spreadsheet. So first of all, I had to wrap my head around that. She was using garments that are no longer available. So I had to source a similar alternative that ticked the boxes of eco-friendly, organic cotton, etc. And she was quite specific about wanting premium garments. She wanted premium, good quality garments. So I quoted her on Stanley Stella garments, which are pretty high priced, but the premium. It's what she asked for. And anyway, the whole sort of process was probably 1 to 2 hours of work that I did before seeing a penny, putting together quotes, answering emails, sat on the phone, giving information, doing a visual mock-up. This was Friday, towards the end of Friday. Sent it all off, sent a quote, said, there you go, let me know if you need any changes or if you need more questions or if you want to go ahead. Anyway, a week later, not a word, completely ghosted. I did send her an email saying, did you get this okay? No reply. And I thought, I left it a few more days, emailed her and sort of said, oh, I hope you got it okay. I know you wanted it in a short amount of time. Is there anything, is there any more questions or anything like that? Or if you didn't want to go ahead, can you let me know? Anyway, she was polite enough this time to reply. She'd basically took my information that I've spent 2 hours putting together for her, sent it to another printer, and they've gone, oh yeah, we can do it $2,000 cheaper. $2,000. So what that means is they've looked at that information. She's gone to a printer and said, this is what we want, but it's a bit expensive. So they've put it on a cheap garment because there wasn't £2,000 to shave off print costs. I wasn't making £2,000 in printing. I was making about 500 quid.
Yeah.
So there's no room, there's no like discount there on printing or anything like that. And the garments were just just garment price, whatever I was getting them at, I was charging that. So they've just used cheap garments. But anyway, it sucks out, doesn't it? All that effort.
This is an age-old problem, isn't it? If you don't do that, you definitely don't get the job. So at some point, you have to take a gamble. Now, if we go into the realm of mock-ups and visuals, then that's a bit different. And a lot of people now either have the software to automate that process, so you pretty much at home make your own mock-up, the customer.
Yeah.
Which is a much better use of time, instead of you constantly trying to make up mock-ups all the time. But the quoting, for every order that comes in, there's a minimum sort of like 50 quid being spent on it. Just finding the garments, sourcing the garments, getting all the information, putting the pack together. And it's, if you don't do it, you don't get the job.
Yeah, you've got to do it. So I think
it's a tough one. It's a bit of a double-edged sword.
I think you know what, you win some, you lose some. You can't be salty about that. You've got to. It's just part of the game. I think what irks me is the fact that she didn't just communicate, say, "Oh God, that's
a bit expensive. Can I have a cheaper shirt?"
Yeah, that's all you had to say, and then I wouldn't have lost the job, and I'd have swapped it. No bother. I was just working on her specifications. So I guess there's lessons to be learned there. I feel like maybe I need to.
If you looked at that job at a different angle and went, okay, how can I shave $2,000 off this? And then recenter the quote saying, look, I can do it for that price, but it'll be on these tissue paper T-shirts from Bangladesh. Do you want me to go ahead with it?
It's too late now. If I'd have known, if I'd have known, that's what she would have done. But too late. She's gone and used someone else. But I don't know. I feel like, I guess
you can always go around to the other person that she's used and just burn the factory down. It's fine.
Well, if I knew who it was, I'd have already done that. So I posted about it on his group, and I thought, I hope it's not. I hope it's not someone in
I
that
got
Zoom.
to one of them.
Could have done. Neither of them replied. Hey, that'd be typical.
Could have done, yeah.
Just my luck. But I
There's
think
only
the
two it
lesson I've
could have
took from
possibly
it
gone to.
is, well, yeah, there's only two. The lesson I've took from this is what needs to be changed or what can be improved on is I think I almost need to preempt any any situation where they can. Don't leave them with anything to guess.
No.
'Cause
This is the
it's
price.
like-
I can do it cheaper on a cheaper shirt. Let me know what you want.
Yeah, just a little disclaimer, just a little end of email note, and also just to say, please don't hesitate to ask us anything. Get in touch if there's anything. Just encourage the communication, because if you just send them a quote, and I never do this anyway, but I obviously need to be even more specific and more detailed in my email replies. But if you just send them a quote and then just forget about it, you might lose that job to, for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's just from lack of communication, yeah, on your part rather than theirs.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my little story. That was my whinge of the day.
Okay.
Whinge of the week.
Well, while we've been talking, our mate Ricardo from Acoscraft has just
Bless him. I've always liked
just sent me a
Ricardo.
little text to say that he's listening to last week's episode, and our approximation of the cost of pre-press is way too high, and he can do it a lot cheaper.
Approximation of the cost of pre-press.
So we said that pre-press would be about 250 grand. He says, no, I can do it a lot cheaper than that. But we're still waiting for a Chippy Tea sponsored unit to go into your place to give it a real good consumer review. One of
I'm
those,
still
one of
waiting
those
for
protein
Ricky
units. that
Adler's
he's got.
number to pop up.
It's on its way. It's on its way.
We'll keep not so subtly hinting.
So I'm nearly done on my list. I've just got a couple of little ones, and one that I stuck on this morning when I was sort of like texting to you, and I wonder if you've got this Instagram addiction.
I would say, yeah, it comes and goes. It comes and goes. I catch myself
on your phone, there's a thing where you can block it out for a certain amount of time.
I think you can do that on iPhones, can't you? You can set screen time restrictions.
On proper phones, yeah. And I locked it out for 4 hours. Oh my God, it nearly drove me insane. It like somebody chopped my hand off. It's when I realised. It's when I realised, oh my God, but I had lots and lots of work to do this morning, so I couldn't just sit there and doom scroll. I had to turn it off. And it was a real eye-opener that how much time I actually spend on it. And not posting.
Yeah.
Scrolling.
Yeah. But do you know what? It's a difficult one because I actually read a book on this, actually, on the way social media it's developed to be addictive. It's purposely developed to make you addictive.
It's that little hit of dopamine when you get that little
heart. Yeah, all to do with dopamine, etc.
Yeah.
Just looking for little rewards. But not only that, it also almost, I can't remember exactly, it was a long time I read this book, but it almost fries that part of your brain. So you are constantly craving little hits of dopamine, but you've become no longer receptive to actual real life dopamine, the things that should make you happy in life, because you're just craving these tiny little drip feeds of it. Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
It did sort of like my thing a little bit, is that I had lots and lots of work to do, and I had my phone in my hand for about half an hour. I'm like, this is no good. I need to put this down. What can I do about this? And I found the little screen lock thing, screen time timer, so you can select an app and go, right, I'm not touching that for the next 4 hours. I think after 3 hours I turned it off.
Let me back on. What's Danny posted? It plays it a little bit into time management, I suppose, really, doesn't it? And if you're the type of person who can be strict and say, right, I'm getting up, and the first 2 hours of my day, I am answering emails and sending invoices and quotes, and then emails off. The rest of the day, I'm sort of press. And where have you gone? Oh, there you are. It plays into that. Like, can you be super focused? But you can't be that type of person if every 2 minutes you have to go like
Look
that.
a butterfly. Oh, look a butterfly. Oh, look a butterfly.
Well, yeah, it's an Instagram butterfly, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I've just put an Instagram on. It's doing quite well.
Is that your Yorkshire one?
Yeah,
Yorkshire.
that was my. This is what you could have, Ricky Hardo.
Come to Yorkshire.
Value.
Come and visit Hull.
Visit Hull, the home of serigraph. Serigraph? It's not serigraph, is it? What is it? I forgot what they're called. Eco.
Hang on. What are you looking at? Oh, your flash.
Acosgraph.
Acosgraph. Oh, you dick.
I couldn't remember what they were called.
We have to work on this smooth brand representation that you're aiming for.
Let's try it again.
Number one is remembering the name of the brand.
Well, if I paint it on my wall, I won't forget, will I? Sponsored by Acosgraph.
So when you put that big coating machine at the back here where it says flipping sweet now, that's when, you'll really get it.
He'll come to me. Right, let's sign off before we cause any more
I've got one
damage.
more.
One more.
This is a bit of a plea to all 10 of our listeners.
Send us some money.
No, send us some artwork.
All right, interesting.
So I've been fortunate enough to get involved with the showing, the exhibitions that are going on this year in Europe, and it's always the same old dull artwork, a chameleon, or a parrot or a skull, or and it's really bit naff. And I've got the creative juices of a dead dog. I honestly cannot create artwork whatsoever. I can reproduce and I can make it print ready and I can do separations for it, but I can't come up with the concept and idea of doing an image. If anybody wants to stick something together in Photoshop and throw a good, what you might call, exhibition piece, I'll stick your name on it and we'll print it live at Vespa and ITMA in Italy, and you'll be sticking credits on the bottom, and you'll be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. If anybody's got any artwork, throw the artwork to me, and as long as it's not rude, oh, we could do a Yorkshire one, whatever. But my Photoshop skills are crap. I can't create from scratch. But anything that you think, I walk past these exhibitions and look at that artwork and go, oh, look, another chameleon. Oh, look, a tiger. Then,
you don't see a lot of that, don't you?
Yeah, it's either a chameleon, a tiger, a car, or a skull.
Underwater scene.
Yeah, with water droplets. Yeah. So,
interesting.
Yeah, if anybody's got any artwork, feeling like a budding artist, throw some artwork my way, and we'll print it live at Vespa.
There's a bit of a movement going at the moment where conglomerates are taking advantage of freelance illustrators and designers, and they are running competitions, and they're saying, design some artwork and we might pick it and we might use it on our product or whatever.
Should have done that. Why didn't you tell me this at the beginning? Why didn't you tell me that before? I could have run a competition. The prize was to be printed at Vespa.
Well, basically, because there's a backlash, that it's sort of...
Just get people
they're asking for people to do work without getting paid.
I suppose I could just go to Fiverr. What about AI? I could use AI, couldn't I?
Well, that's a topic, isn't it? People are up in arms about that as well. Because it's essentially
maybe I should
AI.
do that. Take a picture of an NHM and just send it to API to AI generator, and it comes back with an NHM, a tiger, a parrot, a chameleon, and some water droplets on a skull. Perfect.
Well, I think it asks for, when you use AI, I think it asks for 4 or 5 reference images. So just do that, put one of each.
I had this idea, right, and I signed up to one of these AIs. And for $4.99 a week, you got to upload loads of images.
Yeah.
I was so busy, I never got to it. And after three payments of $4.99 coming out, stop that shit now, no.
I gave one a go just out of pure curiosity. I think it cost me about £3. And it's all right, it's a cool little thing, but it's very impressive. But if it's using reference Yeah, but it uses existing art and sort of, I guess it does some sort of algorithm manipulation to combine your reference photos with somebody else's artwork, which is a little bit of a grey area, really, isn't it? Because it's
has it been
almost
created, or
thievery.
has it just been stolen from anything? But then, does anybody actually create anything, or do we just steal ideas from other people?
Yeah, well, a lot of things are inspired by, isn't it?
Inspired
Everything's
by,
inspired
yeah.
to some extent.
Right. Well, on that bombshell, I think we'll wrap that episode up, and you know we're very close to getting sponsorship. We're not. And we will wrap it up for this week because I think we've had a good hour at it now, and people get bored after an hour. So it is.
Oh, 40.
Have we? Oh, that's not bad then. And most of it's been just frozen for 5 seconds at a time, so I'd love to see how this comes out.
I know. Hopefully it's an alright episode. It's been a little bit tricky, hasn't it? It's hard to...
It's been jumpy. But
We've had some unknown gremlin where
Yeah.
Tony's... It freezes and all this stuff, so...
We've
hopefully it's
tried
not
all
too
sorts.
bad.
We've tried Skype, we've tried this, we've tried Teams. Hopefully this is going to be okay. So we will sign off for this week, and hopefully you'll catch up with us again next week. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, if you don't like what you see, just turn the brightness down on the screen and just listen to it anyway. You have been listening to me, Tony P, and
Danny D. Fun flipping sweet Prinko. I nearly forgot.
So, if you like what you see, then like, subscribe, comment, get involved, send us some artwork we can play with. Give us your view. What do you think ZFS stands for?
Somebody will bloody know. There's always somebody who knows. Whenever we get something wrong,
There's always somebody who
slides in
knows.
them DMs.
So let us know. Don't have to be private. Let us know in comments. We're not always right, but most of the time we are. And it just remains to say, I'll see you there.
I'll see you next week. That was my little signing out gesture.
That was smooth, yeah.
I shall
yeah.
now
Apart from it
press-
frozen, so you just look like...
I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.